Hello boys and girls, and welcome to my player ratings for last night's victory against Liverpool. And I'm still sitting there and thinking to myself, how on earth did we win that? Oh, but it feels nice. It doesn't matter how you win the games, as long as you do win the games. Now that was one of those performances where it was very much back against the wall. Liverpool are the team that everybody wants to be. They are the team that we want to emulate. And you can see the golf in class, the difference and everything else. Liverpool, don't get me wrong, they're an unbelievable side. And what was crazy about Liverpool in last night's game, and I watch it back, is that it was as though they were playing with 22 players on the pitch. They always seem to have 2 or 3 players doubling up on you every single time. They never seem to be left on their own. It's just insane. Their work rate and the way they press and they pass and they move and everything else. But listen, we got the victory. And what more do you want from a game? A victory. I don't care that at one point in the second half, Liverpool had over 90% possession. We won the game. That's the most important statistic that you need to look at. You know, not possession, not shots on target, nothing. Goals scored. And we won 2-1. And I think in the final 20 minutes of the first half, we were rewarded for our hard work. You know, people will talk about the mistakes from Virgil van Dijk and Alisson. Let's talk about the way that we made them make those mistakes. Okay, let's give some credit to the players. Let's give some credit to Reece Nelson first of all, for not letting Virgil van Dijk come out with the ball. For not letting him have his own way. And then let's, give credit to Alexandre Lacazette, for anticipating the pass back by Virgil van Dijk. Taking round Alisson and then slotting it into the net. And then the second goal. Let's give credit to Alexandre Lacazette for seizing the opportunity from Alisson's kick out. Let's give credit to the pass. And then the coolness of Reece Nelson. We all talk about mistakes, and yes, they were mistakes, but there's a reason why they made those mistakes. Those were not errors which were unforced. They didn't just randomly do them without anybody around. They were mistakes that were made to happen because of the way that we played. And this is something that Arsenal are very clearly doing, and something that Mikel Arteta is, drumming into the players. Aubameyang scored like a week or so ago, I think it was, where he shut down the goalkeeper. Eddie Nketiah against Southampton, same thing, shut down the goalkeeper. It's no coincidence that we're getting more joy in these areas because we're not giving up. We're shutting people down. We're not saying, yeah, you know what, have all the time in the world on the ball. Go on, go and do what you want. We're saying, no, you're not going to play out from the back. You're not going to get time on the ball. We're going to get in your face. And I like that. I really, really like that. And it was one of those performances where, you can look at it and say that Liverpool were, on the beach. But look at their starting lineup. Apart from Jordan Henderson, you can look at that and say that's one of their strongest 11s. Probably Keita comes into the side as well for Wijnaldum. But apart from that, that was their full strength side. And they went for that game last night. 110% they went for that game last night. Because they wanted to get the record points total and get over 100 points. But they weren't able to do it, were they? So, brilliant performance. And there were some good performances in there from some of our players. And a couple of performances that were not great. But I'll go and get onto that because I'm going to go and get into the player rating. Starting off in goal, Emi Martinez. And there was one moment in the first half where he kicked it into Firmino. And he got very, very lucky. But apart from that, it was a very, very commanding performance. And I'll tell you something. The save that he made in injury time is up there with one of the best saves I have ever seen. Trent Alexander-Arnold had a shot, took a wicked deflection, and Martinez is going the wrong way. He's wrong-footed. He has to spring back to the other side. Fingertip save. Otherwise, that would have been the equaliser. Unbelievable. Martinez, I'm giving him an 8 for his performance. That was brilliant. Going to move into the defence. First of all, Rob Holding. And I'll tell you something. When Rob Holding wakes up this morning, he can feel very, very proud of that performance because that was really, really good. And there's a bit of a battle going on between him and Mane. And Mane won the first part with scoring a goal. But then after that, Rob Holding never gave him a sniff. You know, so you could say that, you know, Mane won the battle, but Rob Holding won the war. Brilliant performance. And he has to start against Manchester City on Saturday. It's as simple as that for me. He gets an 8 for that performance. Next up, David Luiz. And there was one moment in the second half where he got absolutely twisted up by Mo Salah. But apart from that, it was a relatively good, you know, evening from him. He done all right. And he looked a lot more assured, shall we say, and less vulnerable with the likes of Rob Holding next to him and the player I'll get onto in a moment. But David Luiz, not as good as Holding, but a decent enough performance, and I'll give him a 7. Next up, we have Kieran Tierney, and I'll tell you something, what a player. When you think how much we paid for him, he keeps his, you know, injury-free now. We have got a serious, serious player on our hands. You know, and he will look at that, and he will look at that this morning, and he will be like, you know what have I got in my pockets today? You know, phone, keys, wallet, Mo Salah. It's as simple as that. He kept Mo Salah quiet. And I think people can see just why Kieran Tierney is rated so highly. He's exceptional. And I would actually go with this back three, to be quite honest with you, against Manchester City. It's going to be the same kind of game, backs against the wall and everything else. And I think they've justified it. I don't want to see Kolasinac in there. I know Tierney normally gets forward and everything else, but needs must at the moment. And I think Tierney, as a natural left-sided, you know, one of the three who's comfortable, will do better than Kolasinac, because the guy looks like he's about to trip over his own feet. But Kieran Tierney, he gets an 8 for me as well. Him and Holding were the two standout ones. Not saying that David Luiz wasn't good, but just not to those two's, you know, level. Next up, we have Cedric. And I thought it was a decent enough performance, to be honest with you. He worked really hard, and it was tough down that left-hand side that Liverpool attacked with. And you got the likes of Robertson bombing down there and all sorts. And I thought it was a decent enough performance. I'm going to give Cedric a 7 for his performance. I like that. Next up, we have Lucas Torreira. And taken off quite early in the game. And I think that was understandable. He was on a yellow card. And he also has come back, you know, for his first start after a very, very long layoff. Right before, you know, lockdown, because he actually broke his foot, didn't he? So he was intercepting a lot of stuff. He was really working hard, hurrying, harrying, and doing all those right things. And yeah, you know what? I'll give Lucas Torreira a 7 as well. I thought that was a decent enough performance. Next up, we have Granite Shocker. And listen, man, what is he doing? He's just getting better and better. He works so hard. He's so important to the way that we play. If you can't see it, then I'm sorry, this is not for you. Granite Shocker was brilliant again last night. I'm going to give him an 8 because I really, really enjoyed that performance. Next up, we have Saka. And not the most influential of games, but I felt he looked more balanced and more comfortable playing in his natural left-hand side. And he worked hard working. And it was the opposite to some of his performances where, you know, he creates a lot and he does a lot in the attacking third. In this game, it was very much, you know, defensive, doggedness, and, you know, having to dig in. And that's what he did. You know, for his performance, I'll give him a 7. Next up, we have Reece Nelson. And first 25, 30 minutes, I was starting to worry about the boy. I really feel that he's a confidence player. And he needed something to get his confidence going. And scoring would have been the perfect antidote. It was, you know, a brilliant finish, to be honest. And I really, really like that performance. And I'm going to give Reece Nelson a 7. Next up, we have Nikola Pepe. And I felt that he was the quietest of the night. Something didn't look right. He just didn't seem to be tracking back. He weren't making runs. Just wasn't a good performance for me. I can't give Nikola Pepe more than a 6 for that. Next up, we have Alexandre Lacazette. And for me, he was my man of the match. And I'll tell you why. He was only on the pitch for 60 minutes. But there's arguments as to Martinez or Holding or Tierney. But for me, it was Alexandre Lacazette because he led from the front and he was the captain. It was, you know, his goal that got us back into the game. His reading of the pass by Virgil van Dijk. It was his reading of the pass from Alisson and then the assist for Reece Nelson. His work rate, his hold-up play, everything was absolutely immense. And I'll tell you something, he's answering some critics at the moment because I, for one, you know, have been, you know, criticising him. Then his performances are not up to scratch. But when they're like that, you praise the man when he does good and you criticise when he does bad. But that, for me, was a brilliant performance. And I'm giving Alexandre Lacazette a 9 for that performance. In terms of the substitutes, we had Aubameyang, Ceballos and Joe Willock coming on with half hour to go. And to be honest, you didn't really see any of them because it was backs to the wall stuff. There was one moment right in the injury time where Aubameyang laid it across to Joe Willock and he should have scored. But I'm going to go straight down the middle on 5s because I don't think that there was much that they could have really done. Same with Kolasinac and Maitland-Niles as well. Not really on there long enough, so straight down the middle, 5. And the manager's rating, Mikel Arteta, I'm giving him an 8 because you know what, he set up with what he had. This is what he has at the moment. Until he can spend money, if we get any, this is what he's got to go with. This is what he has to do. And I felt he done it all perfectly. It was, I suppose you could say, a masterclass. And we look at what they do from the front and the attack and everything else. And I've said that. Don't blame the defenders or the goalkeeper for the errors. Blame the players for making them, you know, create those errors. That's what you need to look at. And I felt game management, he done it right. And defensively, they were really good. And he's got some, you know, selections to make before Saturday's game. Big time he needs to. And yeah, like I said, I'll give him an 8 because I really enjoyed that last night. It was a different, you know, type of performance. But we got the win. You know, we played really good against Spurs, for example. And had so much possession and, you know, created chances. But we lost. And this one, backs against the wall and we win. I know what I would prefer. And that's the win. I'd rather get 3 points. It's as simple as that. So, there we go. That is it for player ratings. Yeah. I'm smiling. I'm happy. It's all good. But listen, the games are coming thick and fast. And the season is nearly done. What can you expect? Tomorrow, there will be the DT's Daily as usual. Then, of course, there will also be the preview to the big game on Saturday. Wembley FA Cup semi-final against Manchester City. Hopefully we get a little bit more luck than the last time we played Manchester City because we picked up 2 injuries. We had David Luiz sent off and just nothing went right. So let's try and do something in this game. So if you're new around there, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you smash a like on this video. And I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.